So jumping back real quick, you mentioned you want to do more grasses. Are there other projects that you see or that you're dreaming up? I know.
Yeah, I think we should do more with perennials, but they take so much time in Texas. I mean, it's not like we can plant them and
walk away.
They're real perennials where they'll last 7 or 8 years. We're lucky if they'll last 2 years. Even some of the native penstemons. And I've been trying to work with that recently, growing native penstemons. And once you get them growing, they're very easy, but it's just very difficult to get them to grow, to get them past the first year.
So you'd love to do a lot more experimentation.
Yes,
with
and we have some beautiful native penstemons.
And you've tried. I'm assuming you've tried a lot of perennials and killed them. Is that how you know that they're tough?
Yes.
One of the pieces of one of the things you do in the garden that I love is you keep every label from every plant you've killed.
Yes, and someday somebody should record all of that on the computer.
Well, it's being
and I
tallied.
had an art director from not Seattle but Portland came with her boyfriend a couple of months ago, and she saw the tags on a table, and there was a round table out on a concrete floor, and it does look like an art piece, and she ran over and she said, "Oh, an art piece," and then she said, "Oh, they're nothing but old plant tags." And she wasn't interested in old plant tags, but I think they're very interesting, and I think a lot can be learned from seeing some of these things have, they're three times they've been planted and 3 times they've been lost, and it could be from the heat, it could be from freeze. When we say harsh environment, Texas is a truly harsh environment because we can go from 85 at midday to 16 the next morning. And that's not uncommon. It happens regularly. And then, of course, in February, we have a false spring, and the magnolias open, and the Prunus mumes open, and all sort of other things open and bud out, and then we have a hard freeze. And I'm sure you have the same situations. But
I think an 85 to 16 I'd have a lot less hair.
Yeah, it's tough, but fun.
You would have given up long ago.
Yeah, it's like traveling in Mexico. They were the best years of my life, the most enjoyable. But it was scary. So.
You said it was scary. How did you decide to try and preserve the garden? What was the impetus behind that?
That's because the owner of Yucca-Do Nursery went with me on all these expeditions, and he knew the garden and he knew it quite well, and I knew the garden and I knew it quite well. And my concern was what happens if we had an accident, and you never know when you're going to run off the road, or somebody's going to run into you, or you're going to run off the mountain.
So it was sort of partially this fear in Mexico.
So that's when I realized that something had to be done to preserve. But of course, the garden has grown so since then. It's changed just unbelievably. It's matured.
One of the things that we've had a conversation about is how very often many gardens are sort of put in a box in a way, that they are a time capsule of a certain time or when a gardener was there. Do you want to share your philosophy on that?
I don't want that to happen. That's why we need a garden manager, someone who knows the rhythm of the garden. When the young man that you knew that was there, Barrett, Carl told him it would take him 5 years to learn the rhythm of the garden. And of course Barrett said, "Well, I'm quite bright. I can learn it in 6 months." Barrett left before 6 months.
It was a very harsh spring or winter.
But anyhow, yes, I think that the garden should continue to be experimental. That it should be a research place. I think it should also be about education.
That's always been. I mean, you are a teacher.
Yeah,
it's
but
very
I think
much
it should
a teaching
be about
garden.
organized education for young people.
And when people come to see your garden, you always give a tour, correct?
No, I don't always.
But you prefer
someone does. We try to have someone give them a tour. Yes, we've stopped letting people take themselves around because we had so many people complain, and we had a lot of damage.
What would they complain about?
They would complain about not knowing any of the plants. They were seeing plants that they've never seen before, and they would want to know what the common name was. And quite often, the plant's been in the United States so short a period, there is no common name.
Mm-hmm.
But we had several groups who were very upset about paying money to come into the garden and not being told what they were seeing.
So, part of
then,
your educational mission, if they're with someone, they're getting questions answered.
Yes. So my feeling is that they should be, somehow we should have tours for these. And also the damage that was done with no organized tour.
You had a clever solution for one problem, was that people didn't know what things were. So plant labels were disappearing?
Yeah, the little labels and the short labels, we found that people could pick them up and put them in their pockets. And so we introduced a long label. And now they're taking the tags off of the stands. They don't have pens and pencils, and paper to write with. They want to know the name of the plant. And
that's why it's good if you're there. What do you hope people will take with them, aside from not plant labels, from a visit to your garden? What do you hope people? What do you hope they learn from the garden?
Some sort of experience about plants.
I know one thing that you always told me was that you hope people see, what you teach to people is how to see, in a way. And I know that's an important lesson, I think.
Hopefully they'll understand something about space. Because, and light, textures, colors, some respect for the environment. I think of the thing as, like Claire was talking about, it's a total environment. It's not an inside house. It's not a house. It's not a garden. It's an environment for living.
You've certainly created that. If you could say or tell one thing to someone coming to your garden, if you couldn't tour them around, if you could sort of say one thing to them, what would you want them to know about the garden? I'm putting you on the spot with that one.
It's given me many years of joy. It's the making of something that's important to me. It's not the product. The product is nice, and it's necessary, but it's the act of making something. It's the act of doing.
Do you, is there one sort of thing that you, looking forward for the garden, is there one project, like we're always planning, is there one thing that you're just ready to jump into, that you're ready to sort of take the next step on?
Yeah, I'm ready for the transition.
Well, I've had a lot of fun talking with you this evening, and I think we are the only thing standing between this very large group and dinner at this point.
Oh, we want to get out of that way.
So it's been so good talking with you.
Thank you.